Okay. Hopefully this works out well. I am filming with a new camera and the lighting is coming in, which doesn't affect the new camera, but it affects the quality of the video. I don't want a bunch of shadows, so you can see the sun's reflecting right here. So hopefully it doesn't become a problem, but I'm filming on the R6, so this is brand new to me. It's similar to obviously all the other Canon cameras, but it's mirrorless, so that makes it a lot different. And some of the little features are different as well, so that will be interesting getting used to. I have the same Sigma lens, it's a 35, but what makes this one different is it's not on a crop censored. My old camera was crop censored, so it compressed it and made it more like a 50. Now it's a true 35, so it's a little bit wider. So yeah, let me know what you think about the quality. Hopefully it's good and better, because this camera was not cheap. But I also could work on my composition and camera skills as well. So yeah, it has like the eye tracker. I think it's tracking my eye, so that's pretty fun. I was going to talk about boundaries, or I want to talk about boundaries, because a scenario today came up where I was like, boundaries. I need boundaries. I need to get better at time boundaries. I need to value my time, but I want to see my biblical counselor and just kind of sit on the whole idea before I make a video on it. So I'm going to do what I originally was going to do, which is talk about film and television. I did 2 videos already. One about One Tree Hill, so fully dedicated to One Tree Hill. And then another one that I did was just about the movie industry in general. So definitely go watch those. If I remember to link them down below, they'll be linked, so no excuses. Unless I don't link them, then my excuse. And you'll just have to search on my channel. I think I want to talk about Friends. So I don't know if I'll always do a full YouTube video dedicated to one particular show, but Friends definitely deserves it. I think I have a handful of shows that I want to completely just dedicate a whole video to, and also I really like my top, so I won't put all my hair in the front. I definitely think it deserves it because it's a classic show. It's my favorite show. It's been my favorite show for over a decade now, which is pretty insane, for almost half my life, if not half my life. And yeah, I just want to jump on into it, but there will be other shows that I talk about in other movies and things like that, and then just general film stuff. So, Friends. I was watching some compilation videos last night, so maybe this is what sparked me wanting to talk about this show in particular. I haven't watched it recently. I go through phases in life where I watch Friends a lot and, you know, I get all the nostalgia and things like that, and then I kind of pull back for a while just so I can like have some newness and fresh perspective to the show when I watch it. And my opinions on the show has changed a lot over the years. Some opinions I go back to and some I don't. So I'll just kind of start from where I want to start and talk about what I want to talk about. I started watching it and I loved Chandler and Monica. I didn't really pay attention to the first seasons that much. I really latched on in season 5 when Chandler and Monica got together. They are iconic, legendary. And although legendary is a How I Met Your Mother reference, I loved their dynamic. I loved how unexpected it was, how cute it was, their friendship, their banter. Everything about it was just so sweet. It's like best friends falling in love. And I think it totally flipped the show on its head. Halfway through the series at season 5, you know, they've had a couple runs. They probably wanted to shake things up. And I know that they didn't think that it was going to stick, but the audience's reactions and their chemistry just totally worked and clicked, and they ran with it. So I really love that. That was my favorite as a kid. Season 5 was my favorite just because they were hiding their relationship, and I loved them getting together. So they were my favorite characters. Chandler is still one of my favorite characters, but I think he's not number 1 anymore, which I know he's a lot of people's number 1 favorite character. And then I loved Monica as well, but that's also kind of changed as the years gone on. I didn't appreciate Phoebe that much when I first watched it. You know, sure, it was like, she's funny and cool, but she's not in my top 3. Well, now she's totally in my top 3. She's number 1. Phoebe is my favorite. I think it's because I have a lot of qualities that Phoebe has. The way she views the world, the way she carries herself, her beliefs and outlook and values and personality is very similar to mine. She's obviously a comedian character. She's on a comedy show, so she's very caricature and cartoonish and the extreme of that. I'm definitely not like her in every regard. But I love Phoebe, and I think I've had a greater appreciation for her as I've gotten older and kind of discovered more of who I am and just seen her with a new lens. So that's kind of cool about getting to rewatch it as the years go on. I think also Ross is like the most hated character, and he's not a great character, but the actor David is hilarious. He has the best one-liners in the show, and I think he's one of the funniest. So he's not my favorite character in the sense that I don't necessarily like him as a person. He definitely has some issues with his choices. I mean, he's had 3 divorces. He is very rigid and can be judgmental and things like that. But I think as just if you're looking at it from a comedic standpoint and a writing standpoint, he's definitely one of my favorite. I would say he's my second after Phoebe. And they have some really amazing interactions because their characters are just so polar opposite and they clash really well. And so again, from a writing perspective, I went to school for film. I took classes on writing. So yeah, they go well together from a writing standpoint. And did you hear that crack? I don't know if you did. I really hope the sound is working, because it would really suck if the sound does not work for this video and it's not picking up. This is a new camera. I'm getting used to it. Hopefully the sound quality is good. So I really like them. Joey's probably my least favorite. I know a lot of people like him. He, to me, doesn't add a lot to the show. The show would be very different without him, so I guess in that regard he has his standing. I don't dislike him, but out of all the characters, he doesn't really have the most development, or his development isn't the same. They kind of just make him get dumber and dumber as the show goes on, and they kind of pigeonhole him into this caricature, and they don't really let him grow and expand out of that. And the Joey that started the show is very different than the Joey that finished. I don't think they knew what to do with him, and they didn't really allow him to grow and flourish in the ways, and I really didn't like him with Rachel. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ross and Rachel because they just aren't great for each other, especially by the end of the show. Their characters are just so polar opposite at that point. I think for Ross and Rachel to have worked, they needed to get back together in season 6 and have another go at it in season 6. I think that was one of the most missed opportunities because they got fake married, and I thought, I love that episode just because he hides it from her and he tries to convince her to be married and all that stuff, but I think it would have been really great if they had another go of it somehow in season 6. Season 5 wouldn't have been good because he had just had the divorce with Emily, and so I think it would have been really great for Ross to kind of discover that he likes Rachel again throughout season 5, and then Rachel to try to move on from Ross again because he kind of rejects her, and she kind of realizes, hey, you just got married and are now going through a failed marriage, probably shouldn't start something with you, but have that come to a head at the season 5 finale, beginning of season 6. I thought that would have been really great, but they missed the opportunity and they kind of let the whole marriage thing die. And then I think after that, it just doesn't work anymore. Their characters just grow further and further apart from each other, and I know that they try to get them together in a way, but not really with the pregnancy, but it's a one-night stand, and it's you could have explored that more as well. It's a relationship isn't built on a one-night stand over something that happened years ago at that point. I mean, I know things can happen and people can get back together, but just felt very contrived. It's they want to keep the spark alive, but there's no spark. It's Ross and Rachel are so polar opposite at that point. So they did the baby thing, and the whole I should propose to her, and it's you have secret feelings for her and all this stuff. But then the whole Joey thing happened because they wanted to stall Ross and Rachel getting together because they got another season for season 10. And then it's the whole contrived run to the airport type thing. And I know they had a lot of tension when they lived together, when they had Emma and things like that, during that whole pregnancy postpartum phase. But it just felt so over at that point. Like I said, if they got together in season 6 and built that up again and then had something happen, then I think them finally getting together in season 10 would have felt worth it, because people like to say they're on again, off again, but they're not really. They're just off again. they're not really ever on again. They're just off. So, yeah. And they have problems. I know a lot of people don't like them, that they don't have like, I don't want to say toxic because that's so overused, but they just have very unhealthy ways of dealing with conflict and communication and their emotions and things like that, maturity level. And by the end, they're just so different. It doesn't make sense to me. Another missed opportunity was Phoebe and Joey getting together. Again, I think for that to happen, I mentioned the whole Joey thing before, they had to do more with this character, because the Joey that's canonized in the show, especially towards the end, it just wouldn't work with Phoebe in that. I love their friendship and their tenderness, but if they had a proper fleshing out of that plot and story arc and everything, I think it could have worked really well. But I know that they didn't want to have all of the friends get together, which they could have just sacrificed Ross and Rachel. I would have been fine with that. I would have been fine with Ross and Rachel being sacrificed for the sake of Joey and Phoebe getting together. But I really love her with Mike. I just love that whole storyline. I love how Joey finds Mike for her, and it's so random. It's like Mike, and then I also really like how they get together and then they come to the conflict of like, she wants to get married and have kids and do the whole thing, and he doesn't want to do that, and so they break up, which is good and healthy. Like, if you want two different things in life, you should break up. But he has a change of heart and he comes to realize that he does want Phoebe and he does want all those things with her. And I love that she moved on, or at least tried to. You know, she wasn't like, I know she was still in love with Mike and still wanted him. And David, I loved how they brought David back, because David's the only one with like come up to a challenge to Mike in any way, and like kind of brought that like that what if lover, you know, the one that got away, and kind of just smashed that a little bit with her eventually getting with Mike. I just love that whole storyline for her. I love that for her. I love that she got married. I think Mike is great for her. He can like get on her level and have fun, and but also just like brings that sense of stability, I think, as well. I love the like fake piano, and I really like it. I like how he pursued her and he proved to her like, I actually like you and I want to be with you, and he went after her and he got her, and she so deserved that. So love Phoebe so much. I know the Phoebe that started the show is also very, very different from the Phoebe that ended the show. And that's the hard thing, is sometimes, yes, character growth is great and stuff like that, but it has to make sense. I wouldn't say it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't go that far. But I will say some of them are like, how did you get from here to here? I kind of just feel like it's different writers and stuff, just like doing a complete 180 out of nowhere. Monica's growth feels the most natural and subtle at the same time. I think you could maybe argue that she doesn't grow that much, but I think she grows, and I think Chandler grows as well. I think both of their character development is spot on, and them getting together helped their character development a ton. So I really like that for them. I'll always love Chandler and Monica. Always be one of my number one OTPs. So yeah, so much love for them. Rachel, I think she's probably like a middle game character for me. I don't love her and I don't hate her. Like, she has her moments, and she also has her not so good moments, like good and bad. She's there. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. She can be kind of annoying sometimes, but not too shabby for Rachel will always be an iconic line that I love to quote. Trying to think what else. Oh, the pairings of friends, like Phoebe and Chandler, or Chandler and Rachel, or Phoebe and Ross, and Monica and Joey, and all those friend combinations, I do not think happen enough. Such a shame. I mean, we get a few of Rachel and Joey because she lives with him and stuff, and they explore individually Phoebe and Rachel because they live together for a little bit. But one that has like no screen time is Chandler and Rachel, which they have some great on-screen chemistry and really great banter and dynamic. And imagine, they're both friends with Monica. They're probably the two closest to Monica, and so I think that they could have had way more scenes together, and especially like individual storylines, and just kind of develop that friendship more. There's some iconic scenes with them, but not nearly enough. Phoebe and Ross have a good handful of iconic scenes. I think they could have capitalized on the two clashing so much and just the comedic gold that brings. Like, for example, when Phoebe is going to the parties at his new apartment, and they like love Phoebe and they hate Ross. I think that is a great episode. The same one where she doesn't believe in evolution and he gets all like tight-knit about it and is like, how can you not believe in this? And she's like, I don't know, I just don't. And like that drives him nuts. Comedic gold. So really like that. Phoebe and Chandler also have a really fun dynamic. I think a little bit more so in the beginning, and then they have some scenes at the end, but the middle is kind of untouched. And I really like the engagement episode where she's picking out the engagement ring, and the whole episode where they're like trying to flirt with each other. I just think it's a huge missed opportunity. They had great chemistry. He's very sarcastic, and she's just kind of like this bubbly, happy-go-lucky person who's had a dark past, but he's also had a hard past, but it's different, and how they cope with it is so different, and so that clash is really interesting, and he can be kind of mean with his sarcasm, and I don't know, I just watched a whole compilation about it, and there were comments, and I really enjoyed the comments on it. I'm trying to think what else I want to say. I think season 3 is such a solid season. I never really appreciated it when I was in my Chandler and Monica phase because they weren't together then, so it was like not as good as season 5. But season 3 and season 4 are really solid, just great comedic episodes. And season 5 is pretty strong too. I like almost every episode of season 5. I will say that season 6, it kind of takes a little, you know. There's some really good ones, like the whole Ross keeping the divorce annulment thing a secret. I really like that one. Season 7 is kind of like don't really like season 7. There's not many iconic moments as much as the other seasons. But, you know, it has its standing. I really don't like season 8 that much. And season 9 and 10, they pick up a little bit more, I think, because they know that they're getting near the ends. I think they thought season 9 was going to be the end, so that's why things get kind of weird with then wrapping up in season 10. I really like season 9. I think Chandler looks healthier because he dealt with a lot of addiction, and season 7, season 7 and season 8, I believe he did not look super healthy, even in season 6 a little. There was a big jump between season 6 and season 7 because they filmed simultaneously, like right after the engagement, and there's a huge difference in the way he looks because of his addictions and rehab and all that stuff. So yeah, season 1 and 2 are like meh. I know that's like the Ross and Rachel phase, especially season 2, maybe a little bit of season 3, but I don't really rewatch those a lot. They're not my favorite episodes. I know they have some good moments. I'm pretty sure I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's season 3 that has one of the most iconic episodes. It might be season 2 though, but I think it's 3 when they're doing the Jeopardy game and then they have to switch apartments. That's a great episode, but I want to say it's season 3. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about Friends. I've been rambling for 18 minutes now, so I think I'm gonna stop rambling. It's a great show. It's one of my favorites. I quote it all the time. It, I think, stands the test of time. I know other people say differently, but it will always be a very iconic show in the community, the comedy world. How I Met Your Mother and so many other shows try to copy it. And yeah, so that's all I gotta say. Cast is iconic, characters are iconic. I still love it to this day, and I hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! And as always, my feet have fallen asleep, so new camera, nothing's changed. Although, last one, I got smart and didn't cross my feet the whole time.